Welcome back, everybody, to another edition on this beautiful day, at least when we're recording in our region of Ponca City, Oklahoma, to another Tuesday edition of the Dirty and Driven Podcast. My name is James Deviney. I am your host on this fine show. This is the show where we bring people to the blue-collar world, teach them how to kick ass. We want to gain, train, and retain solid people in the blue-collar industry. I'm joined today, as always, by the man, the myth. He's not dead, so I'm not going to call him a legend.
Be living legends. My old man was a living legend whenever he was alive, and now he's a legend post-mortem.
The man, the myth, the talent.
The living
talent.
legend.
Mr. Casey D.
How are you?
And today, we're going to have fun, as we always do. Casey, what's your week entailed? I noticed you're driving, your wife's car or something?
Yeah, driving my wife's car.
That usually is a bad sign.
No, that's not a bad sign. I just put some gas in it. She's going to take our twin granddaughters back to their parents. And we also have I don't know if it's a great niece. Well, it's not by marriage yet, but we have
She's not that great.
No, she's awesome, but she just turned one. We're babysitting her also. So my wife has her hands full. So I thought it'd be a nice guy and fill the car up with gas before she had to commute them back.
Oh, okay.
I was going to drive the old Kaiser, but I figured I'd try to score some points. So
well, that's what I was wondering, if your main truck was in the shop because you hit that deer.
Not yet.
And then your Kaiser was broke down, so that's why you were driving your wife's car.
No, Kaiser's good, but my main truck I need to take in because the front left, it sounds like the old brake pad is jacked up getting into the rotor, and it's one of those deals that I need to stop driving it and get it addressed.
Yeah, they say that deer guts are not a good lube for your brake pads.
Deer gristle.
Yeah. Today's opening deer season.
Is it?
Yeah, officially. I was going to go out today, but then I ended up doing an audible yesterday, unplanned trip to Manhattan. That would be the Little Apple of Manhattan, Kansas, not quite Manhattan, New York. But I went up there, so I got back kind of late, and I decided I did not want to get up at like 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. to go deer hunt.
So opening season for what kind of hunting deer?
Bow.
Okay.
Yeah. Although they were moving. I went and walked my dog before this podcast, and they were, just around my house, they were everywhere.
The coyotes were moving last night out at work.
Yeah.
One of them got into our facility. I got some video of him, and I started doing the old...
Was it Wile E. Coyote?
I got it. You can hear me whistling on the video that I got. He watched me for a while. Then I think he had
Did
a bum
they have
leg.
any rocket-propelled shoes?
No, he didn't. He did have an anvil, though.
Oh.
Yeah, he's carrying it on his shoulder. But I think he had a bum leg. It might have been his rear hind, either left or right, depending on if it was stage right or from the crowd.
He must have fallen off a 500-foot cliff. Yeah. Dude, I used to watch Roadrunner all the freaking time. Love that show.
And TNT, yeah, he had a one of them dynamite handle deals you push down.
You ever heard the song by The Great Divide, Wile E. Coyote?
Uh-uh.
What? You say no?
Uh-uh.
You don't know that song?
Means no.
But I couldn't tell you what noise you made. Well, I couldn't tell if that was you clearing your throat because it's right as you're taking a drink.
I'm drinking my Rockstar, which you can drink Rockstars, but not Monsters. Herb doesn't like Monsters, Herb Sargent. The Rockstars are totally fine. I know what the long-term effects are with Rockstars, and it's totally good for you.
But I don't remember what I was about to say.
You're talking about Great Divide song.
Yeah, that song Wile E. Coyote by the Great. I'll give it a listen. It's a good song. You know the Great Divide, right?
Oh yeah, dude, Mike McClure, man.
Yeah.
Dude, he supposedly wrote a song that Cross Canadian Ragweed does that I love, and it's called Down at the Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
Down at the Harbor.
I've never found the Mike McClure version of that.
Neither have I.
I've tried to find it.
Yep, I've literally searched Mike McClure Down at the Harbor.
Cody Kando always said in that version that you're talking about.
Yeah, this is an old Mike McClure tune. Yeah.
It's a good song.
Kind of a lake tune. Goes a little something like this here.
Yeah. So today we got kind of a variety show for everybody. It's a little different. Oh, by the way, Manhattan, Kansas. The reason I went there, I wanted to give a shout out to my boy Vaughn Kohler, who this podcast probably wouldn't exist without him. He's been very integral into helping me get it going and just kind of, I don't know. He was the one in the beginning who said, you should do this. And I never really, the thought hadn't really crossed my mind. It kind of had, but he helped me really kind of materialize it and helped us format the show and helped us just get off the ground with it. So he's been a great resource for us. But anyways, he asked me to be on his podcast, the Vaughn Kohler podcast or Vaughn Kohler Experience, something like that, which is for faith-driven entrepreneurs. So it was Vaughn, myself, and a guy named Ben Duell, who owns Duell Construction, who does just really high-end construction in Manhattan, Kansas. It was a fun time. So that show, I think, actually came out the same day as this show will. So it
comes out then.
Comes out the same day this one does.
There you
go. So after you listen to this Tuesday episode, go ahead and add to queue the old Vaughn Kohler podcast. It's if you like the Dirty and Driven podcast, but you don't necessarily like our language, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is the Vaughn Kohler podcast.
Yeah. It's a good show, man. He's got some good guests on there, and he really adds some good value. He's kind of been lax on it lately because he's had a lot of other projects he's been working on. Plus, he also has an army of children, so he's had his hands tied up here lately. But he said he's going to start getting more people queued up and being on there. But anyways, it was a really good show. We talk about gain, train, retain. Ben does a lot of that in his company already. It's just very practical stuff that we're talking about. But it's a good conversation. And I did give the disclaimer. If you came here from the Vaughn Kohler podcast and now you're at the Dirty and Driven podcast, and I gave this disclaimer on Vaughn's show. This is not necessarily a Christian podcast.
I think there's some, I don't know a lot about Christianity, but I think there's some good Christian values that we talk about on this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I'm just saying, if you don't like sex jokes and the F word, this may not be for you.
Yeah, but, I've had a few people reach out to me about our podcast. Dude, I'm 47 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, if you're too goody two-shoe to claim that you've never said a cuss word or never had an off-color joke or that fart jokes aren't funny your whole life. I mentioned this before. Dude, when I turn 60 or 80, I'm still going to be joking about farts. Farts are funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. Funny. Hilarious.
Adult content, yeah, maybe you should act more like an adult, but if you're telling me behind closed doors and stuff, people don't act like this, then that's probably the people I don't want to associate with.
And that's why I like this podcast, dude. Because I went through a phase in my life where I need to be professional and a businessman and this and that. And then I realized this ain't me. And, there's not every situation I can act like myself. It seems like, well, I say that. I don't change for anybody. But this podcast is a way that it's like, you know what? This is who we are. This is what we like to joke about. This is what we like to laugh about. Most people are like this, even if they don't act like it. So I think that this podcast gives a lot of people that if they want to act like it, it almost gives people like that sense of, I can be myself.
Yes.
And that's coming from, I know that I work in a very professional environment. I'm bidding jobs, dealing with high level clients, stuff like that. That's the environment I work in. Owners, managers, everything. Behind closed doors, people joke about this. They may not at work, but if you go to the bar with a guy after that, after work, this is what that podcast is supposed to be like. And for a lot of people, it's kind of their guilty pleasure, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so.
if you will. Like there's a lot of people that are afraid to really act like they really want to and tell the jokes and say the words and they don't act like that, but they listen to our show and they're like, I just love it. You know, it's an hour and a half that of the not monotony, the shenanigans that I would like to pull. So that's what we try to do. So anyways, if you came from the Vaughn Kohler podcast, this is not the same vibe, but we have fun here.
Yeah, I think it's just very, very relatable. I mentioned before our previous CEO at the energy company that I'm at, and even some more powerful people in the world that obviously speak English that I can understand. Instead of them being so structured and so political and so presidential and going by, and never slubbing a word and never dropping a damn or a shit bomb while they're talking. Those people aren't really relatable, but it's those that, like I said, the previous CEO and those that every now and then they might drop a cuss word that, they're not saying the F bomb every other word, but you tend to perk up saying, you know what? That person is human. That's relatable. My ears are going to perk up and I'm actually going to listen to that person more, because they're not so goody two-shoe cookie cutter, in between the lines person.
One thing I'll do a lot of times, first time, and I've probably talked about this before, but I'll walk onto a job site and one of the first things I'll do talking to just a ground level guy or a new person or a subcontractor or something like that, people always, they try to give respect, oh, yes, sir, no, sir, blah, blah, blah. Every now and then someone will even hit me with a Mr. Deviney, and that one I shut down immediately. Like, do not call me that. Like, there's never been a Mr. Deviney that I know of.
All right, so I know what to call you now.
Like, that pisses me off, dude. I do not want to be Mr. Nothing. I mean, look at me, man. I mean, I'm a damn near a hippie, so, I mean. But whenever they start doing that, then I just go, well, what the fuck's going on here? And then people are like, oh, this guy's just like me.
Yeah.
And like if I have a AC guy come to my house or something or electrician or something like that, it's just they show up and it's the same thing. And then you start kind of and they're like, oh, yeah, this guy is a human just like I am. Yep. He's no better than I am. It makes it better that way. Communication, right? But you're not going to walk into the owner's office and be like, what the fuck's up, Jim?
No, dude, you got to.
You got to know who you're talking to.
Yeah, you got to read your audience. Yeah. And there's time, obviously, to reel it in, you ain't going to talk to Granny that you're going over there to fix a faucet. And, what the fuck's up, Granny? Hell, shit, can you tell me your shitter?
You shitter clog, Grandma?
No, man, you're going to talk on her level and,
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to know your audience, man.
Got to know your audience.
And our audience likes realness.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, then don't listen, which I think that's what, people do. So
they've already tuned out.
They've already turned this off and gone, these guys are quacks.
No, that's cool that Vaughn had you on, and I know that you've spoken to me off air about Vaughn and how integral, is that
integral, yeah, that's the right word.
Boy, I got it out. I don't think I've ever used that word audibly.
You ever used a word with that many syllables before?
There's only 3, but I've never used it out loud. I've written it down before, or maybe it accidentally spell checked and automatically correct when I tried to say like integer or something. It said integral instead.
How often are you sending the word integer? Because I went to engineering school and I don't think I've ever texted anybody the word integer.
I have no clue what integer, and I think that's the first time I said integer out loud also.
Dude, I don't even want to hear about integers because I still don't know what an integer is, and I studied them for 4 years.
Well, I'm sure somebody listening can do a quick Google, then send us a message, what integer is.
Yeah.
But anyway, the deal with how Vaughn's helped out quite a bit with, it's good to have people that get behind you and say, you can do it. And for one, I want people to be honest with me and fair, like, dude, hey, you can, there's nothing holding you back, man. I want people to be honest with me, but it sure does help when someone you respect gives you the old, man, you got this, man. You can do it. And that's cool that he was there for you.
Yeah, and so just to see, I mean, the podcast was the first step, right? I mean, and he's still integral to the Dirty and Driven project on like the consulting side and like the whole gain, train, retain plans that we're, trying to get with companies to help them integrate. And that's what he's really good at. He's literally, that's what he does now is coaching and consulting. So he's been super helpful in like helping me kind of create the gain, train, retain plan. So, I mean, you can just know that if you hit me up and you say, hey man, I'm actually really interested in doing that at our company, you can know that it's not just me that's writing that, but I've got backing from some very great people. I say backing. Backing is more like financial support. I've got support. I've got great resources that are experienced, and you're going to get a very quality product from that. Is the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, that's something him and I have been working on, and he's just a fun dude. I hung out. We hung out for a while in Manhattan, and dude, I'll tell you what. You ever made that drive up there?
Yes, I've been through Manhattan.
Well, have you driven like the not Turnpike way?
No, but isn't that when you drive in town? Doesn't it say like Manhattan on the side of the hill or something? Or is that a different town? It's like in Rocks.
Oh, that's Winfield.
No, it's up there. I think it's Manhattan, Kansas, and I could be spitballing here, but
I might have missed that. But Winfield, Kansas had that.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, Manhattan might be a little bigger.
Yeah.
I faded off.
They have a bridge with a wildcat bricked into it.
No, it's on the side of the hill. Now I got to look it up.
And I might have just not seen it. But dude, that's a cool town. I mean, for me, have you ever just like taken a walk down, like kind of like gone down memory lane type thing? Like gone and you're like, huh, this is where I used to do this, or like I didn't realize. So the last time I'd been to Manhattan, it was right before the world shut down, right before COVID. And like literally that week, the week before I went there is the first time I like really screwed my back up. And then I played a rugby game in Manhattan that day. And then, we just got absolutely trashed in debauchery with the rugby team and like going around Aggieville, which is their kind of bar district and stuff. Just had a lot of fun. Well, after we recorded the podcast and ate lunch and all that, I was like, well, I'm going to head back, but I wanted to get my second workout into the day. So I was like, I'm just going to walk around kind of the hopping areas, walk around K-State's campus, stuff like that, just kind of as my second workout, go walk. And it's just kind of weird, man. I mean, it was like, damn, dude, like I didn't even think of it. But the last time I was there, I was shithouse drunk for one. But it was like, dang, dude, this was like the last day before I really started making some serious changes in my life. Like that was kind of one of my last hoorahs of like that old life I kind of lived. Because after the world shut down and COVID happened, I really turned myself around. Like I was like, man, everybody else is getting, lazy and fat and doing all this, sitting at home drinking beer and smoking weed. And I was like, I'm going to double down on myself. So that was kind of the last time that because like literally like 4 or 5 days later is whenever all the COVID stuff happened. So it was kind of interesting that I was like, huh, here I am, almost 4 years later. And it's, I'm just a totally different person. Like I just kind of could see the change in myself. Like, I don't know if I articulated that very well, but it was just kind of an interesting.
Where were you when the world shut down?
World stopped turning.
Yeah, so you're talking about your glory days right there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's just but it's interesting.
I told you, you're getting older.
No, I know, but I'm not like, but what I'm trying to say is like, I don't know. Sometimes you walk through somewhere and you're just like, damn, dude, look at how much I've changed since then.
You'll have a lot of that, man.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
That's one of the first times, like, I look back once a year, I reflect on the year and go, dang, dude, a lot's changed this year. But I mean, I don't know, just looking back at like, it seemed like not that long ago, but it's just like, that was the last time I really lived like that. And then I was like, all right, it's time to double down on myself. So it was just an interesting walk that I never really realized. But anyways,
well,
Manhattan's a cool town. K-State's a cool place.
Like I've heard a wise man say before, change is a coming. Just keep that in mind.
A change is gonna come.
Change is a coming.
Was that Otis Redding?
I don't know who it was, but it was my buddy's dad who I heard it from. But it's things are cool and stuff, but then a cool boss might move away, or best friend might move away, or somebody might pass away, or you might lose your job. But constantly changes are coming. So,
do you believe that people change?
If you can change, I can change. We all can change. That was on Rocky IV. That was after Rocky knocked out Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
And he turned the Soviets, the crowd, because he fought Ivan Drago over in the USSR.
Yeah.
And
the training montage.
Yeah, but what happened was he gave one of them good, if you can change, if I can change, whatever, we all can change. And he ended up getting, the crowd ended up getting behind him, the the bad guy, I don't know if it's Soviets or Russians or USSR, but they all ended up starting to cheer for Rocky. So yes, I believe if it can happen on Rocky IV, then yes, I can believe it can happen anywhere.
I believe people can change too. I believe I'm a lot different. I mean,
yes,
we all grow and develop.
And I believe that too. And one thing on that is I believe that unless if it was just something horribly wrong, like bad, like the Alex Rosen guy I talked about, that's doing the Lord's work, unless if it's something horribly wrong, you can't hold something against somebody for their past.
Yeah.
Because speaking of, a good electrician friend that we know that's here in town, he had a couple fumbles in the past and he's grown from it. Now he's a totally different person on the right side of everything. Mm-hmm. And that just goes to show that just because you might have had a little slip up or a hiccup in the past doesn't mean, you can't be a good person now, going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I believe that I believe people can, and I believe that a lot of people do. Now, some people won't. Some people will not change, but I don't believe it's because they can't. I believe that there's help out there for anybody. And
some people are totally content where they're at,
Yeah. Some people don't even know that they can change. They don't know that that's even an option. You talk to people that are in crime, that are in and out of jail, or like you talk to a police officer, they're like, yeah, they don't want to change because like the only time that life is stable and they're sober is whenever they're in jail.
Yeah.
And then they get out of jail and then they're on drugs again or alcohol, or, they're running around with a bad crowd and they don't know where the next meal's coming from. They have no skills. So they don't want to change because life's comfortable for them there.
Well, sometimes they like that life in jail.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And that's where old Red or whoever it was on Shawshank Redemption mentioned that he was institutionalized, meaning the only thing that he knows is the jail scene, and he's scared of the outside world having to deal with, the outside world struggles inside of prison is where he's comfortable at. So, and some people, when you're in that rut, whether if you're in crime and all that giddy, that's where you're comfortable at. You're afraid of, real world having to take care of yourself and a potential family and all that.
Yeah. No, I believe that people can change. And that's why we have this podcast, right? I mean, it's kind of personal development for blue collar people. Cause I believe that like if you're, and I've seen a lot of guys that, they are not winners whenever they join the industry. They join the construction industry because it's really their last hope. And it's the only place they can find a job. But now I know guys that went through hard times. They got fired a couple times. They quit a couple times, but then they finally got their act together, maybe even gone through some divorces and stuff like that. But then they finally get their act together and now they're very good people.
Well, you have to find your why, or I know why it's sounding like some self-help deal, but for one, you got to take, like I said, put the mask on yourself, save yourself first. Once you can take care of yourself first, then you can take care of that family around you. Yeah. As the train goes by.
Yeah, man, dude, trains, motorcycles.
Dude, I love the trains going by, man. It gives it that feel. Yeah,
you like that background?
I always think of Johnny Cash. I'm gonna hear that.
You can't always hear the trains and motorcycles in the background. Whenever, like, you can hear them when we're recording, but you can't always hear them come through the mix. But
hey, did you ever lay a penny on the train track?
No.
You ever hear that?
I've heard it, but I don't know what it is.
Well, the idea is the weight of the train, the train wheels going across the rail it'll flatten a penny out and stretch it out real long.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you ever done it?
Yeah, but I don't think
You've never followed up?
Yeah, I've never followed up. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, there's a bunch of songs out there, putting pennies on railroad tracks where it mentions that.
Are you talking about defacing federal money?
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Can't believe you.
Yeah.
This is why inflation's happening.
Yeah, that's why they had that coin shortage.
Yeah, this is why. I used to always like those penny presses whenever I was a kid.
What's that?
Like you go to the amusement park or you travel, go to the, you pay like 50 cents and then you put a penny in and then you spin the deal around and then it pops out it stamps your penny with, Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah.
I've never been to Yellowstone, but yeah, something like that. Anyways, man, we got a couple little points and topics to get to. So now that we sidebarred.
Hey, before we get into that, I mentioned on 2 different deals where you posted your thing with your coarse asphalt and your smooth asphalt.
Yeah.
I mentioned the same comment on 2 different deals and you never responded. And I thought it was a genius comment.
Well, let's get to that because we're going to talk about some of our coolest jobs we've worked on. And that's one of mine. So we'll...
Okay, this is your show. Yeah, even though I was real prepared to talk about it, but I'll try to have the enthusiasm whenever you bring it up when I'm not ready. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead with whatever you're gonna do.
All right, we're just gonna stay in order here. I told you before the show started what we were doing.
Yeah, but there was just one thing I wanted to talk about. But whenever you're ready,
I was just gonna get to it whenever we do the rest of them. So first of all was one that you actually sent in was how to properly impress your wife as a blue collar human.
I can't quite remember it, man, but it was what was it, like an Instagram reel or?
Well, I mean, it was just, you sent me a deal on like how to impress your wife, and it was basically you fuck shit up and then fix it.
Yeah, well,
but you really draw out the fix.
Yeah. So what that reminds me of is we used to have a technician out where I'm at. And she's not with us anymore. And she broke more stuff than she fixed. But half the time, you would literally think that if something failed, like maybe her job was in limbo or they were thinking that she wasn't pulling her weight. And she would go out, maybe turn off a transmitter or something to where we'd get an alarm saying, or we would have like a 0 value on this transmitter that should be reading a certain PSI or a certain number. And we'd mention to our tech, we were like, hey, can you go take a look at this transmitter? Oh, yeah, I'll go look at it. And she'd go out there and she'd fumble around for 15, 20, or 30 minutes and come back in and hey, shit, what'd you do? Oh, and all she did was take the cover off. Realistically, all we think she did was she'd maybe just go unplug a wire.
Yeah.
She'd create the problem, then fix the problem to make it look like, she had the solution. And that way she could say, oh, I fixed that transmitter and I fixed this transmitter and I fixed this flow deal and I fixed that deal. And the whole time she was the one, creating the problems and then having the solutions for them.
Did she go work for Pfizer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can get on that. That's the same deal too.
Yeah, no, another one was like, you get under the, you just got to find like those real simple things that like a blue collar person would know, like how to turn your water off at your sink. If your wife's ever like, you don't do enough around here, that kind of thing, here's what you need to do. Go to your sink, like your bathroom sink, something, one with a counter or something that you can kind of hide under. Go in there and just turn that water valve off.
Yeah, those are called shut-off valves.
Yeah. Turn the water off and then just sit there, why isn't the sink working? Or, why is the toilet not getting water to it? Well, then you just go into the bathroom, maybe grab a drill, grab something really loud and just really like you're doing something in a toolbox and just get out there, hey, baby, it's going to take me a minute. Can you bring me a beer while I'm working on this? Then you just kind of crawl up under that cabinet for a minute and, she's just, what's wrong with it? Oh, it's just, the flex capacitor is kind of messing up. I just need to, work with it, take it off, kind of tinker with it for a minute and then get things going again. And then you just kind of make some hammering noises and some bzz, bzz, bzz noises. And then, and this would work on your husband too if you're a woman, it doesn't matter. Anybody, blue collar person. And then you just kind of hide under there 15, 20 minutes and finally you're like, whew, that was stressful. And then you just turn the valve back on and carry about your day.
Yeah, better bet would probably be like a HDMI cable, unplugging it, or a coax, something simple. Because the problem that you have with them shutoff valves, especially water shutoff valves, is a lot of times those valves don't get cycled to where they've been open in the open position for 3 years, 5 years, 8 years.
Oh.
And when you finally, the quarter turns are great because they're not prone to leaking. But the other ones, I don't know if they're the globes, but where you twist to close, those things haven't been cycled forever closed. And the next thing you know, you created a legit problem for trying. Seriously, dude, you start closing those bad boys and they start, leaking out the stem.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude. That's almost a good example of which we do it out at work is we do valve inspections, which every year we're supposed to cycle every single one of our valves. Whether they get cycled, that's another deal, but all motor operated valves and all just hand operated valves, manual valves, you're really supposed to not only grease them, but you're supposed to cycle them closed and cycle them open for the slips and for everything, just to make sure everything's working nice and good. Because what happens is 4 years down the line, 7 years down the line, when you need to isolate that valve, this is the same with the house. This is where I'm getting at with the house. 4 or 5 years when you really do need to isolate that valve, and this is on, oil and gas where I'm talking about, when you go to close that bad boy, for one, maybe it won't close. And then maybe two, if it does close, and you might have some leaking issues or some really bad seizing up issues. So it's good to actually cycle those valves at your house to make sure that they're going to work properly when the time comes. Because the idea is when the time does come, if you have an oh shit moment where stuff's leaking in your house, ideally you isolate it right there at the source of the problem. That way you don't have to shut off your whole house.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And now you know.
The more you know.
And knowing's half the battle.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, be careful if you're causing the problem, then the solution for your spouse.
Yeah, and there's another one. I mean, you can go, like, your HVAC system usually plugs into something, and like mine actually has like a switch, just like a beefed up light switch basically, that like you can turn it off and it'll shut the power off to the unit. Now I know that most of them don't have that, but they probably have somewhere where they plug in. You go unplug your HVAC unit, because HVACs, I don't know, in my mind, HVACs are kind of a specialty thing if you don't know what you're doing. So I wouldn't want to mess with those too much. But you could always just kind of give it a little thing. Oh man, it's so hot in here. Why is the AC not working? Oh baby, let me get after that. And then, and now while you're doing that, she's not mad at you for not unloading the dishwasher.
Yeah, the easiest thing to do to get away with the AC, aside from shutting the beefed up switch that you're talking about, it's called a breaker. Mm-hmm. Aside from screwing with the breaker, is maybe just going to your thermostat. A lot of times the thermostats, if they're not wired, they have like little AAA batteries in the back.
Yeah.
Just pop out a AAA battery and I can't control the temp. Oh shit, I need to go to the hardware store, and you stop by the old bar and have a couple drinks and come back and
there you go.
Put that AAA battery back in and you're a stud.
Yeah. Why do you smell like whiskey? Oh, just this special fluid you got to put into the HVAC system, Okay, that's enough of that. So we had a question submitted from a 13-year-old listener. He's been listening for a while, dude. He's been listening for a long time. Shout out to my boy Caden. He sent me this message the other day. He said, hey, I'm a 13-year-old listener from Canada. The
Great White North.
Yeah, I've sent him a sticker. It was a while back I sent him a sticker.
Wonder what he thought about my Strange Brew movie.
Well, he's 13, so he probably hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I guess that's the demographic is a little youthful for that.
Yeah. He said, I have a podcast idea you should talk about. And what makes blue collar? Do you think, i.e., real estate agents, surgeons, dental hygienists should be on that list? P.S. Love the language, some episodes. So he doesn't love the language all episodes, but he loves them on some.
What, the English language, or does he want us to start speaking French?
Well, we haven't spoke French, so he must like that we speak English.
Okay, because
okay. Yeah.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui.
Allez-vous, French toast?
French toast.
Oh, French roll. I bet you that's the episode that he liked when I was talking about French roll and the jeans.
Oh, yeah.
That's what got him
That's
right
what
there.
So I don't know. I mean, my thought on blue collars, and okay, this is a conversation I've had to have a lot of times, especially with people who are like friends of mine, but don't listen to the podcast, and it's very evident that they don't, because I get a lot of friends or people that, acquaintances. Oh, dude, I'd love to be on your podcast. Well, you're not in the construction industry, and you don't really have much to add, and it's, well, I'm blue collar. It's like, okay, but like, so blue collar goes obviously beyond the trades, right? And that's what everybody's argument is with me, which I get that, and I know that, and I understand that. Blue collar is the person who's working, hourly, or they're working for the man kind of thing, or even if they are the man, blue collar is people who are getting dirty every day. And now blue collar could mean construction. It can mean factory workers. It could mean city workers. It could mean hairstylists. It could mean, nurses are blue collar, in my opinion. They're still down there grinding, getting dirty in the trenches. I'm not going to sit here and name every blue collar job I think is out there, but I think that anything like that, hell, a flight attendant, you could consider fairly blue collar. I think, a waiter, waitress, I think that's a blue collar job. It obviously is just kind of those working folk out there like that. And then I think that like your white collar, and I believe it goes beyond blue and white collar. I think that you have your white collar people, and like, let's just say in the construction industry, for example, like your white collar guys are going to be more like your salesmen, your office staff, the people who are not necessarily out in the field much, not really getting super dirty. They're mainly just in an office, or they're just playing golf, or they're talking to people. And, that's kind of your white collar jobs, the people that aren't getting dirt on their jeans. And then like above that, like I think that like a doctor, like a typical doctor, they're more white collar. A surgeon, I could see, because he specifically asked that, I could see where a surgeon could have an argument as blue collar. I think that what makes a surgeon white collar, though, is their attitude, mentality. Because you don't meet a lot of like surgeons that act blue collar, want to be blue collar. They're like, oh no, they're almost like have that better than you mentality, because I went to all the school and I know so much and I'm so smart. And not all of them, but if a surgeon wanted to make a argument that he's blue collar, maybe. A realtor, that's definitely white collar.
Realtors get dirty whenever they're putting the for sale signs in the yard. They get their little penny loafers dirty when they're standing on the sign to pushing into the yard.
Yeah, they might get sweaty.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I think you have your light blue collar too, though. And that's your people that they're not running. This is where I feel like I fall into personally. Like, I'm not getting dirty every day. I'm not working hourly wages. But I'm in the field here and there. I'm communicating with the blue collar people. I have to understand what the blue collar people are doing. I will get in the field if I have to, if I need to. I think that's like where your project managers, your estimators, your superintendents kind of fall into. And superintendents, a lot of times, they probably fall into the blue collar category. But, your other people, some owners, some office staff, they kind of fall in that light blue role. Hell, I think that even some of your media people can fall in there. The people that, like, we talked to Aria Morgan. She's in the field a lot, taking pictures and hanging out with the blue collar people, and she's around the equipment. She's got to have knowledge and know-how. She's not just stuck in an office all day. She might be out there taking pictures, not running a shovel, but she's still in the heat and sweating and in the cold and getting footage and stuff like that. I think that a role like that could even be considered a light blue collar. It's like the light blue collar is like the ones that help the office staff and also help the blue collar staff, the people out there working. I don't know. What do you think about all this? What's blue collar in your mind?
It's a mentality, man. I don't know.
I kind of agree with that.
Sweat equity, and I've mentioned before. I think there's a lot of people that even you mentioned, like that are white collar, that are perceived white collar, the office people. But I think like the blue collar stereotypical work ethic and drive can transition into your white collar job. Just sticking with it, getting the shit done that needs to get done.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you before about you could easily make a white collar job blue collar if it's about sweat equity. All you have to do is turn the thermostat up, make it hot inside of your office, and although you're wearing your suit and stuff, now you're sweating to earn your money. So
yeah,
I don't know. I look at more blue collar jobs of people who are doing labor intensive jobs.
Yes.
Granted, you can work all day in an office or being a surgeon, like a surgeon that you mentioned. Surgeons are getting dirty.
Yeah.
Now they're not like really getting dirty because hopefully they're suited up and
hopefully there's not any dirt going into your open heart surgery
and all that shit. But I mean, that's a different type of getting dirty job because you're dealing with blood and guts and all types of giddy. But I still see more of a laborious, and granted, a surgeon, it is physical on your feet. I get that crap too, but I see more of an exterior or going into home underneath houses, dirt, sweat, grime.
Yeah. I would say anything that's manual and hectic almost. Not always hectic, but
yeah, then I had some too.
Because like if you're on a job site, there's always timelines, there's always crunch time, there's always like, we all have to work together to get this thing hoisted up, or, you're doing this over here, but then you have to run over and do this super fast. And then you got to run over here and do this super fast. It's, I don't know. That's definitely the more like,
and I'm sure the majority of
it's what's right in front of you. You're working on what's right in front of you.
Yeah. I'm sure the majority of, that's a good point. The majority of blue collar jobs are hourly, but a lot of jobs that I do that are blue collar-ish are by the job. I do a lot of stuff by the job.
Right.
A lot of times I'll look at kind of what my hourly rate is and how much time I have put into it. Then over here I'll put what I would have charged by the job. Mm-hmm. Then I'll find the happy median in between the two, just to find out what the real price is. So hourly or by the job. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a 2 Live Crew song that talked about the other day. We've got white collar people trying to crap our style, saying we're too nasty and we're too live. Corrupted politicians playing games, bringing us down to boost their fames.
Bars.
Meaning the white collar people, they were telling 2 Live Crew that they were too nasty and that their lyrics were too bad. Meaning the people who make the laws, that are in the offices, that are going out on their executive lunches every damn day. And I guarantee you, the majority of blue collar workers aren't going out in hobnobbing with, their crews eating lunches, every single day on the company.
Right.
They're probably doing it in the field out of a lunchbox, not washing their damn hands. They got the old dirt and shit underneath their fingernails and still eating their sandwiches.
Dirt and grease and grime.
But the way I look at that too is if you want to be the guy hobnobbing and going around and playing golf and that stereotypical life, well, maybe you can promote and get the hell out of the blue collar life into the white collar life.
Well, right. And that's where I'm at, right?
Well, okay. But
that's what I've done.
But where I'm at, Man,
I don't play golf, but
granted, I'd love to have a ton of money. I know the routes to get there, but there is something tangible about sweating for your dollar to where, at the end of the job, your back's a little sore, your legs are a little sore, you've actually been rolling sweat and stuff, and you have something to physically look at when it's said and done. There's something about that. Now, granted, if I could kick ass trading in the stock market, from the comfort of air conditioning and stuff and make some jack, that'd be great too. But there's still something great about little back breaking work to earn your dollar.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that, dude. I get a lot more fulfillment out of that type of stuff. But like where I get fulfillment now, being in like project management role, or with like the Dirty and Driven project, I get fulfillment seeing blue collar people thrive because of what I do. So like if I go and I get a big job, well, great. Now we've got a big job that the guys have to go do. We can keep everybody employed another year. You know what I mean? Like but
you both are dependent on each other.
Exactly. And that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I'm nothing without them.
Yeah.
And they would have no work without me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's where a lot of that comes from. There's definitely, I don't like the blue collar versus white collar argument. Now, a lot of people get offended and they are white collar and they say, well, dude, I'm blue collar. I've just, I made my way to where I'm not digging the holes every day.
That's you.
Yeah.
So you're saying some people say you're actually doing an autobiography on yourself.
Well, yeah, I do that. But I know a lot of people that are like, no, dude, I still because those are the people I want to roll with. Like, I don't like hobnobbing with the quote unquote elites. Somebody, I went to an event the other day and they started talking about,
was it the Bohemian Grove?
What?
All right, keep going.
I went to a deal the other day and they were talking about like, you guys are the elites of this town and blah, blah. I was like, no, fuck off with that. I was like, no, we're not the elites. I said, elites is a negative term, dude. I hate that. That's me saying I'm better than you. I'm not better. All right. Yeah, sure. I might be a leader. I might lead these people, but I'm no better than that guy that's digging a hole or flagging traffic, because that guy, we'd be nothing without him. Don't call me the elite.
I saw that the other day.
Yeah. You saw that?
Yeah.
Was it on Facebook?
There were people talking about the event going on at the mansion.
Oh, no, that wasn't that. But I did see the comments. Oh, yeah. It was like, dude, it's open to the public.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Anybody can go. It's like,
yeah,
but there's always
got to buy tickets. They're like $20.
Yeah, there's always going to be haters out there. I just laugh at shit like that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I hate that word elite. I hate whenever people consider themselves the elite, dude. You're no better than anybody else. And that's the mentality that I think a lot of your blue collar people that work their way up is, hey. And those are the leaders you want, the people that have been down in the trenches and dug the holes and done the hard stuff. Yeah. You want blue collar leaders.
Yeah, you want people who paid their dues.
Yeah. And even though they became, a quote unquote white collar person, they've still got the blue collar work ethic, which you hear that a lot too. Man, he's got a blue collar work ethic.
Well, that's what I've mentioned to you about people like my brother that we need to get on here. My brother is fortunate where he's at, but he's had that same work ethic from the way, our dad raised us to get him to where he's at, Mm-hmm. It wasn't like he just got to the position where he's at just all of a sudden. Yeah. There was a lot of grinding and dues being paid to, pretty much make a standard to get to where he's at.
Well, and that's why lately I've been talking to a lot of parents lately. A lot of parents have come to me and they said, man, I just, their kids are 16, 17, 18 years old. And they're like, they just, I can't get them to work. I can't get them to do this. And they don't know what they want to do when they go to college. I'm like, here's what you need to do. Make them get a job this summer. And I said, go get a job in the trades. I said, go get a blue collar job. I said, even if it's not in the construction industry, like maybe they want to go into sales, maybe they want to go into retail, maybe they want to go into food or hotel service. Make them get a ground level blue collar job and work and appreciate the work. And what I tell people is that they don't know what they want to do, or they don't know what they want to go major in college, or they don't know what they want to do after they leave high school is, man, go work for a plumber, an electrician, or a road crew. Just go work for some of these guys and figure out what you like and what you don't like. but you're going to learn some work ethic that will put you ahead of the game if you go somewhere else. And I think that if you go and you work for a concrete crew and you bust your ass all summer long and you learn how to work, then let's say you want to get a marketing job. Dude, you go to college, get your marketing degree, all of a sudden you come out and you want to market. All right, great, man. You are light years ahead of these people because they don't know how to just put their nose to the grindstone and work. And you learn that from digging holes and pouring concrete and laying asphalt and wiring up houses and shit like that.
I think with today's day and age too, you can even stay out of that higher education and dropping your money there. If you do want to maybe transition into marketing, there's enough stuff out there on literally social media, on YouTube, that could pretty much teach. If you have a will and desire to get into something like marketing, advertising, anything like that, you could pretty much be almost a self-trained person without a piece of paper.
Oh, yeah.
Then
100%.
Then you could learn how to, hopefully, if you learn how to sell yourself, you could sell yourself to whatever company, show some stuff that you put together at home, just little ad. I mean, dude, you could utilize your AI. You could do all that without having to go to college to do it.
I've worked with a lot of marketers in the last year, and a lot of them suck. Your college degree means nothing. And it's just like anything, dude. Engineering, you should probably get a college degree to be an engineer, but some of the best engineers I know don't have a college degree. They've just grown up in the system.
Well, that's what I've mentioned. I told you.
But that takes 40 years experience to truly be a good engineer without any sort of degree.
But I've mentioned to you before, I talked with your dad before about, Jim, I got a question. He said, yeah, what's that? I was like, dude, let's say you have to go to college for 4 years or 8 years to become a lawyer. Is that correct? Yeah, you put in your time. Yeah. Let's say that you've got somebody, let's say me, I think I'm a decently intelligent guy. Let's say I have the will to want to learn. I mean, I want to learn everything. Let's say that I shadowed you from today, from right now. Everything that you do, the calls that you make, the dealing with the secretaries, the people coming in, I shadowed you going into the courtrooms, the discovery, all of the interrogatories, all of this stuff. I shadow you for 3 to 4 years, 5 years, whatever it takes. Is that, and I'm probably have more experience than somebody that comes out with a college degree. Can I become a lawyer? No, Casey, you actually have to go to school. You have to pass the bars. But why? But if I shadow you and learn all the ins and outs, I'm probably smarter than those guys that went to school and got a piece of paper. Why isn't that not as sufficient enough? Well, the system's set up to where
you've got to have a degree.
You have to have a degree. You have to go to college. You have to pass the bar. Not wait. But dude, but you see where I'm going, which he agreed. But it's like on the job training a lot of times too is just as good, if not better, than going to college and wasting your money, then being in debt for however long.
Yeah. And for something like that, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But like I've talked to my dad about that same thing before too. And he goes, going to law school teaches me nothing about being a good lawyer, and it taught me nothing about owning a business.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, he's like, it taught me law.
Yeah.
And the problem is colleges are very far behind on a lot of things. So like this curriculum they have now took 10 years to develop. So now you're 6 to 8 years behind what's actually modern in society of what people are actually using and stuff like that. There's some things that stay up to speed, but it's tough. I mean, like me going to construction engineering school, which was a mix between engineering, business, and then just construction. There were some very practical classes, and I learned a lot in college, and I'm glad I went to college. But it's if I were to get any other degree, I don't know that I would have gone. And I listened to, I may have heard it on Rogan or something the other day, but they were talking about James Cameron. You know James Cameron, right?
Oh,
literally one of the most, probably, I think that they said he's the second highest grossing filmmaker of all times behind Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the, 2 or 3 of the top 5 movies ever made. Right.
Yeah, and he has a submersible that doesn't implode whenever you go at depth.
Yes. And it's just insane, but he didn't go to film school. And I think that that's pretty crazy, man. He did not go to film school. He just went to the library and read every book on filmmaking he could. And he spent the same amount of hours and he worked his way up. And it was like, I don't remember if he was still talking about him at this point, but he's talking about someone else that they would just go and they'd study the craft of what they wanted to do. And it was like after 4 years, they were still doing it. And they were still reading and studying and learning and trying to get experience. And they were like, I can't get frustrated now because if I would have gone to school, I'd just now be graduating.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on my master's. You know what I mean? So now they're spending, they're still spending time and hours and then working their way up and then boom, they're getting in there. And that's what you're doing as somebody in the skilled trades too, as a blue collar person. If you don't go to school, you're just gaining experience and hours. And if you look at it as after 4 years, you're like, man, I'm not the boss yet. Well, if you went to college, you'd just now be popping out and you'd be starting from square zero.
In debt.
So it's cool. So Caden, I don't know if we answered your question, man, but I hope that we gave you some interesting things to think about. I don't know that there's a true definition of what is blue collar versus what is white collar. That term comes from the 1920s. Your labor workers and your factory workers used to wear blue jumpsuits, and you still see a lot of people wearing them. Not quite as prevalent, but so your labor workers would be going out and they'd be wearing jumpsuits. And then back then everybody wore a suit and tie to work for their office jobs. So you had your blue collar guys that were wearing the jumpsuits to hide dirt. And you had your white collar guys that were wearing, suits and ties to work. So that's where that term comes from. That's why it was a very black and white term back then. But now I think that there's a lot more things that could constitute blue collar. And then there's white collar jobs that require blue collar work ethic. So
I think there's many shades of gray or whatever the in-between of.
There's
blue.
At least 50.
Yeah, whatever the in-between of blue and white is.
Yeah.
There's many shades of whatever that color is.
Yeah.
Light blue, baby blue.
Yeah. But good question, man. Appreciate that. It was a fun thing to talk about. Oh, what's next on here? I also wanted to put a little caveat in about... We had a gentleman reach out the other day, and he thought that we were talking about him whenever I went on my little rant about GCs and stuff. And I just want to say I'm never going to hop on this microphone, and I don't think Casey would either, and rag on someone, talk about somebody, unless we have first said it to their faces. I don't believe in just shit talking people on a microphone behind their backs. If I have a problem with you, I am going to make sure I have a problem with you. Or I'm not going to necessarily make sure but you're going to know. Like we're going to have had bad words, but or said some things, and I'm never
you're going to have a conversation.
Yeah, we're going to have a conversation. Like,
it might not be bad
you're
words.
going to know. I mean, yeah, you're going to know that I'm frustrated with you or mad at you, and maybe I'll use you an example on the podcast, but I'm never going to talk down on somebody, especially local people, dude. I mean, I don't have any qualms with any local people. I pride myself in the relationships we have with all the local contractors here in town, or at least the ones that I know. And yeah, if you ever hear us talking about somebody like that, it's probably not you that we are talking bad about. So anyways, just want to throw that out there. One more thing I wanted to say before we kind of get into our final little deal that we talk about is, and I don't normally do this, but I had a friend of mine call in a favor, and that was, we were talking about marketing stuff. So my boy, Bobby Stem with the Association of General Contractors, Oklahoma, big supporter of the Dirty and Driven Project, worked with AOGC quite a bit recently, not to be confused with AOC, but
Alexandria, whatever, Ocasio-Cortez.
The AOGC. But if you want a cool job working for a cool dude, they're trying to hire a workforce development chair or director at the AOGC. They're looking for somebody young, maybe even right out of college, or just somebody with a lot of energy that just wants to promote the industry. And I mean, you'd have total freedom over what you want to do from what it sounds like. They're just looking for somebody who is willing to do that, make social media, go talk to the schools, put on events, do fun stuff. They just spend a lot of money on like simulators and stuff to take the schools. And
that sounds like a cool job.
It does. And it doesn't pay. It pays pretty well, especially for an out of college job.
It'll pay well, but then it'll be huge exposure.
Yeah. I mean, I think starting salary is $55,000 a year. So
Huge exposure.
big exposure. You'd meet a lot of people, a lot of big business owners, construction owners.
That's a lot.
schools.
That's a lot. What advancement in this life that we live is exposure, coming across somebody, opportunities, and the more you're exposed around whoever it might be, the more opportunities arise, the more you can vet and then sift through what might be good for you. That's just a good opportunity.
Well, the AOGC is a organization comprised of the biggest contractors in the state.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd really be getting some great experience if you're looking, if you think you might have a passion for the heavy civil construction industry, you want to be around big equipment, you want to go into schools and talk to kids, and you want to help bring people to the industry, let me know and I will get you in contact with them. And that's salary, benefits. You pretty much get to choose your own schedule and hours from what it sounded like talking to him. So again, don't hit me up asking me to advertise for you for jobs, but they're big supporters of us and we work pretty closely with them. So that's just something that I told him I would plug out here. So if that's something that would interest you, it'd be in Oklahoma City is where you'd be based out of. I'm sure you could probably live somewhere else in the state as long as you're willing to drive and do all that. I'm not really quite sure on that part, but anyways.
And anybody confused, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma is where it's at.
Yeah, not Oklahoma City, Maine.
Yeah, and if you do get the gig with the AOGC, be sure to let them know that the Dirty and Driven Project podcast sent you, because we do get a couple referral conies.
Yeah, use we haven't talked about conies in a while.
Yeah, but that's one of the deals we get for referrals is a couple conies.
Yeah, use code Dirty and Driven 10 for 10% bump in your salary. No.
Hashtag.
Anyways, yeah, if you're into that, dude, they're really trying hard. They're passionate about the industry, and a lot of associations of general contractors are not very fun to work with and not very fun to talk to. They're very boring, bland people with opinions of very outdated styles of things. These are not those people. So they're really cool. Give them a shot. If you're interested, message us, email us, dirtyandriven@gmail.com, or hit us up on social media at Dirty and Driven. All right, enough of that. Casey, you sent me a text the other day that said you've gotten some cool and unique jobs recently. What are some of these cool and unique jobs?
Crickets.
Crickets? Like eating crickets? What was your question you were going to ask me? What comment were you talking about on my stuff?
Yeah, let's go there on that. So the other day,
I'm pulling it up.
You had posted a short video of you had an Aquafina bottle. I don't think it matters which water you were using.
It was Dasani, but go off.
Dasani. I don't think it matters. Probably all the fluorides in it. Who knows? But you took the water and you poured it out on two separate, pieces or things of asphalt.
Yeah.
One was like a coarse. You could actually kind of see the voids in it, and the other one was super, super compacted. And you're pretty much explaining the difference of both. And I think all signs are pointing towards the coarser, whatever terminology you all use. The coarser is the way to go, because water can pretty much permeate through it and not cause hydroplaning, and it's just a better product. Am I correct?
Well, I don't know that I would say it's the way to go or a better product. I mean, it's not for all applications of the road.
Okay. Well, the way I read it was that was the better product. So I commented on your Instagram deal and your Facebook deal, and I commented the same thing. It looked like you were pushing the coarser asphalt. And I commented and I said, dude, it sounds to me like you're pushing the coarser product, but that coarser product will eat up my tires, the rubber on my tires more, and my tires will wear quicker. And what I think is going on is Big Asphalt that you're in cahoots with Big Tire, and y'all are working hand in hand, because Big Tire will will have to make more tires, sell more tires because their tires are getting eaten up from this coarser product. And it's just that revolving deal around Big Tire and Big Asphalt are in cahoots.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not. That mix is not coarser. It's open. Meaning it's got more air voids.
Okay, so tell me the sound then when you drive. I can tell when I'm driving on a smooth asphalt that the road noise isn't very loud, but it's a little louder. And a little louder, it starts wearing on my front end, my tie rods, my steering, my alignment. And I think it's a big deal to keep pushing stuff back to the mechanics. The asphalt is just that circle.
You will notice more noise on a coarser asphalt. So in Oklahoma, we have what's called super pave, which is just the name of asphalt spec. Spec asphalt is called super pave in Oklahoma. Every state's got a different name. But that's what we call it as of right now. It's changing to BMD, which stands for Balanced Mixed Design, which is where a lot of states are heading. But anyways, the denser asphalt, so that's your structural. And on this specific job, and this is one of the coolest jobs I've had the pleasure of working on. Hard to lay, hard to make, hard on equipment. It's, I don't know that it's the way to go all the time. This is on the interstate. And it's the reason they put this, what's called a permeable friction course on it, or a PFC, is because it's got 18% air voids. Now it's actually it's pretty fine aggregates. It's not super coarse aggregates in this. So an S3 is going to be your more coarse asphalt. That's like a typical base layer asphalt. So like if you go out and you want to pave a parking lot, for example, you might see it be, let's just say it's 5 inches thick of asphalt. You've got 3 inches of S3, 2 inches of S4, or like a neighborhood. It might be 4 inches of S3, 2 inches of S4. Well, that S3 is your structural, right? That's the structural component that you're going on. So if you drive, like if you're going through a job site and they just laid S3 asphalt and they haven't put the cap on it or the top layer, yes, that's going to be louder and that's going to have more wear on your tires because it's got bigger rocks in it, right? And then if you put the S4 down, or what I love is S5, which is a little bit finer than the S4, and it's a lot quieter. The finer you go, the easier it's going to be on like your tires, and it's going to be a lot quieter. So like an S4, it's going to be pretty quiet, but you're still going to get some road noise. And S5 is like, dude, depending on your tires and how new or old the asphalt is, it's a lot quieter. And I mean, it's like driving on butter. So like if you drive South Avenue right before you get to the underpass, mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That spot that we laid a few years ago. You drive on that and it's like dead quiet. I mean, that is smooth, quiet road. Until
you get under the underpass and you honk your horn.
Right.
When you're going there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a train's coming through, which I do every time.
Whether I do it every time. Myself. My dad did it with us, so
even if I'm by myself,
that's a little shout out. That's what I do too.
I always honk the horn.
Because each time I do, it's like I kind of point down wherever my dad is. Hey, I'm thinking of you.
Shit, man. So, anyways, yeah.
So I looked at that picture, but I looked at that picture thinking that the top layer, the one I'm calling coarser, is that a finished product?
Yes. So it looks coarser because it's got more air voids.
But you know what I mean? I don't mean coarse, but yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit... It's going to be a little bit louder probably just because less surface area touching. Yeah. But as far as tire wear, I don't think it's... I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not sure what it's going to do. If you drive south of town here, going to Stillwater, that 4-lane section, right? Yeah. Whenever you get out of town, that's similar stuff.
Right.
And so it's safer though, because if you're driving behind a semi and it's raining, you know how bad the road spray is, right? I mean, driving next to or behind a semi or trying to pass and you're hydroplaning. This is to eliminate a lot of that.
No, in defense of that, I was just gigging you on that deal anyway.
I know that you know that I'm not in with Big Tire.
I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I know that there's probably a lot of big tire reps that probably come to y'all's business and take y'all out to eat and stuff and say, hey, man, keep laying this coarse shit down right here because, and they're like giving you,
they're going to the engineers.
Yeah, they're giving you free trips to Pebble Beach and all types of stuff as long as you lay this stuff down. Dude, it's the same as the pharmaceutical companies getting in with the doctors to prescribe medication.
Exact same.
And what'd you call that asphalt? You called it super something?
Super pave. Well,
what's the regular name for it?
I mean, there's no regular. It just depends on where
But it
you're
had to start out, but they juiced it up and gave it a cool name.
It used to be like type A, type B, type C.
But that super pave, that reminds me of the same thing that they did with secretaries when they call them administrative assistants. They give it a cool name, which you're just nothing but a damn secretary. Stop calling it, dude. Stop calling it super pave. Just call it.
Well, I mean, it's called an S3, S4, S5. There's no regular name. You go to different states and they call it like.
That's just, you know what they did? Here's another thing they do with play with words. In town, they used to have the little white truck, and they still do it today. Go around and put tags on people because they measure the grass. It gets too high. The truck used to say code enforcement, and everybody got scared because code enforcement was coming through the neighborhood handing out red tags, putting them on windows. So you know what they did? They changed it from code enforcement to neighborhood services. Oh, it's just the neighborhood service guy. It's this damn code enforcement guy with the fruity name. Fucking super pave.
I don't know. I don't even know how to respond to that. Anywhere you go in the country, every state's got a different name for asphalt. Like if I post something on Instagram, TikTok, and people will always comment, they'll be like, is that blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, dude, I don't know what that is. And it's probably the same thing, but it's just every state has a different name because every state's got different specs. So it's just this type of spec. And now they're switching to balanced mixed designs, BMD, and it's going to be called a B3, B4, B5 mix. Yeah. Right now it's S3, S4, S5, and up to, S6 and next it's the B's and different states have different names. Now, like permeable friction course, or some people call it open graded friction course, that's a more common term for that type of mix. Or you might hear of ultra thin bonded wearing course. That's similar to the PFC. And then there's like stone matrix asphalt, which is one that we made that we put in heavy dust and really high oil content. It's a pain in the ass to make and lay, but it's super strong. And that's what's underneath that PFC that I'm talking about. We put fly ash in it, which as far as I know, we're one of the few probably the only one in the state who's ever put fly ash in asphalt, and one of the few in the country that's done it. Not saying nobody else has done it, but is that from
the cremation of flies?
Yes. The cremation of flies. It's the byproduct of burning coal for people that don't know.
And another example of juicing up a title out at work, they used to be called safety coordinators. Now they call them safety specialists.
Specialists.
It's like, dude, you're
still the safety guy.
Yeah.
The safety guy.
No, we're a safety specialist.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I've seen that happen before where like I'll get emails from people that their email signature used to be like billing department or accounts receivable or something like that. Now it's contract billing specialist.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to think of some other ones. Similar stuff.
Well, it's the same as
it's like the job didn't change, but they gave him a different.
Well, it's the same as handyman. That's why maintenance man sounds cooler than handyman.
But you know what, dude? Like, and I'm not a guy. I don't care about titles. Honestly, like if people ask me like what my title is, I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know. I don't care. I don't care what my title is.
Your title is Mr.
Mister.
Yeah, you talked about that on the opening.
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Deviney.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Perfect. Did you ever hear about Mr. Perfect? Wrestler back in the WWF days?
No.
He was always perfect. He'd always do his segments to where because I'm Mr. Perfect, and he'd take a basketball and throw it behind him, half court, and he'd make the shot. And each time he'd say something, he'd spit out his gun and hit it with his hand. Kurt Hennig. All right, that's
interesting. Yeah. So I don't even remember where I was going with that.
Mr. Wonderful, Paul
titles.
Orndorff.
I mean, you will see like a lot of companies are doing that to like. I mean, it makes you feel good whenever you have a good title. What's your title there? Oh, I'm the, safety specialist. Now, most people are gonna say I do safety, but I think like good cultures that give people titles to make them feel better. Does that make you feel better?
Yeah,
but I mean, and then there's also bad cultures that give people a a fancy title just to make him feel better. So,
Dude, if you're a shingle bitch, I'm going to call you a shingle bitch.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
a bitch hooker, a shingle hooker, shingle bitch.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just whatever you want to. Different strokes for different folks. Some people really care about their titles and want to. Personally, I don't really care what your title is or anything. As long as you can help me fix my problem or point me in the right direction, I'm cool with you.
And in your defense with the asphalt, I have noticed recently in the past few years when I've been driving when it's been pouring rain, it is pretty cool or interesting to see how the water, although it's probably, non-level and, the water's falling one way or the other, but the water does seem to disappear a lot of times on the asphalt roads.
Yeah. Yeah, and it depends on where you're at. I mean, there's some towns that are just flat and they have no underground drainage.
Yeah, but I've driven through some stuff to where it's like, unless if it just gets hairy, it's pretty cool to see how the water just sheds.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes with just updating the mix designs and fixing, a lot of research of like, how do we get this asphalt to not rut? How do we get this asphalt to, not do this, not do that? Now when you pave it, you put a crown in it or you slope it one way. And, when you're milling, you do that too. Or when you're working your dirt, you get it to where the water will kick off. And that's most roads are like that. They're the dense asphalt that the water just sheds off the top. Now, the one that I'm talking about that it drains through, that's not super common, but they're trying to push that more on like interstates.
And people remember that concrete is not permeable like that, okay? Only this type of asphalt we're talking about.
Yeah. They actually do have I have seen a permeable concrete before.
Shit, I take that back then. Fuck.
It's harder to do, but I've seen it. I don't know. It's different, but it's kind of cool. I have another video of me, and I'm sure most people would be like, yeah, dude, you're just a fucking nerd. And yeah, rightfully so. But I have an asphalt core, which is like you put it into, like you go and you cut cores and out of the road, to where you,
like ice core samples.
Sure. I don't know what an ice core is.
Don't know what those are? Have you ever seen them where they go up into Antarctica or whatever and they'll drill down like 200 feet? And whenever they pull the core out from 200 feet below, it shows what was going on like 100 million years ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Similar deal, yeah.
But you're only drilling down about
like 2 inches, 2 inches. It's just a little puck, a little hockey puck. And then you also make them in the lab. And I have one of me, I think it's with the lab mold, which is just to replicate compacting it in the field of like, what's it going to actually do? And just maybe like dumping water through it. It's pretty cool.
I wonder in those cores, when you pull them up, them asphalt core samples, if it shows like an old Hubba Bubba wrapper, or,
Hubba Bubba.
You could see what was going on, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Well, you can. And so if there's like a road that's cracking really bad or it's, in bad shape, what they'll do is they'll drill a core all the way down and they try to get to like the sub base, get all the layers of pavement and you can see, all right, like you can learn a lot from it. Like if it's a road that was built in the 70s, you core through it and then you see, oh, okay, like this road was actually built in like the 50s and it was an old piece of shit hunk of concrete and then they put out this much asphalt over top of it or, it was this or that, or, it's cracking. If it's top down cracking versus bottom up cracking, what's going on here? Like if it's bottom up, that means that you have an issue in your sub base. If it's top down, that means that your asphalt's probably what's causing the issues. It's pretty interesting. You can research a lot based on just drilling a core through the road. And through the dirt, like what you're talking about in Antarctica where they're doing it with ice. We do that whenever I used to work for a geotechnical engineer. We would go with a big drilling rig and they'd drill down. They'd do it at different sects. They'd do like 2 foot, 10 foot, 20 foot, down to however deep they needed to go basically until they hit solid material. And they would investigate the soil underneath with drill core samples. It's pretty cool. You can learn a lot about what you're building on that way.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Now that everybody's falling asleep on my. All right, dude. I think we covered everything I had. You got anything else you want to
add? Hopefully the Americans pull it off in the Ryder Cup. They're quite a ways behind, but they should be finishing up right now in the singles match against the Europeans, playing over in wherever the Coliseum is.
Which one's the Ryder Cup? Is that tennis?
No, the Ryder Cup is golf.
Golf.
It's USA against Europe.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
And although
isn't that the one that's like USA versus like English Scotland? Like it's usually in Scotland, isn't it?
it's Europe, so yeah, it kind of covers that whole area.
Well, but I mean, like, isn't it usually played?
Yeah, right
Scotland?
now they're playing in Rome.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they keep paying it over to the Coliseum and stuff, which I still don't get it. I still don't get why people like Victor Hovland that played at OSU, that got his schooling and everything here, and got his golf and all that, and earns all his money with the PGA in the United States. But when it comes to the Ryder Cup, he goes and plays for the Europeans. It's kind of like the same as during the Olympics. Everybody's making all their money in the United States with the NBA basketball teams, but when it comes Olympic time, they got to go back to where they were born and live for one day and represent that team. So,
yeah, I mean, it just depends on your heritage and your roots, I guess.
Whatever. You don't have to defend.
I mean, I'm just saying.
You don't have to defend.
I've never been in that situation, so I'm not going to sit here and judge someone else.
And I noticed that since this is still kind of a big PGA event, that they're not showing much of Brooks Koepka on TV, since Brooks went to play for the Live Tour, which Live, was funded by the Saudi Arabians, and they're not showing much of him at all, even though he's kicking ass today.
Even though they're about to merge with the PGA.
Yeah. So it's a done deal, but they're still hating on Brooks Koepka. So
classic. Interesting.
I'm kind of fired up about that.
Yeah, I didn't even know what was going on.
Yep.
The Ryder Cup.
Yeah, they're finishing it. It'll already be said and done by the time y'all hear this.
Yeah. Hopefully USA won.
Speaking of that, Victor Hovland, did you see the other day on the practice round? He was on a par 4, probably 365-yard par 4. Teed off and made a hole-in-one on the par 4.
Damn.
That's called an albatross. Some people would think that it's a double eagle, but it's actually called an albatross. 3 under.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I saw a kid get a double eagle in an 8th grade golf tournament before in Arc City.
You know what a double eagle is? A double eagle is a hole-in-one on a par 5. Because a double eagle is
no, it'd be a hole in 2, right? Because you'd have. Because if he got 4 on a par 5, it'd be a birdie. If he got 3,
that's an eagle.
That'd be an eagle, and then if you get 2, that's a double eagle.
No, that's called an albatross. That's where people mess up. That's called an albatross.
Oh.
The only way you can get a double eagle is on a par 5 hole in one. Because double eagle is 2 under plus 2 under is 4 under. So 4 under a par 5 is a 1.
Oh, well, everybody was calling it a double eagle. So,
yeah. And speaking of hole in ones, shout out to Park Debo Dustin, his dad at the Cherokee Strip. The deal we talked about the other day. I don't know if I talked about it or not, but
I don't know if we talked about it. I know it's shot.
But Dale Connor, guy that I've spoke about before, he got a hole-in-one on hole number 16 out at Wentz Golf Course.
No kidding.
Yeah, check this out. This is a good one to end on. I saw him the other day at the county fair, and I said, "What's up, Dale?" And I said, "Hey, man, congrats on your hole-in-one." You know where I'm talking about?
16 a par 5?
No, 16's a par 3. It goes kind of back towards the lake. You're hitting kind of downhill the little par 3. This is it. This is at Wentz. You're hitting towards the little cove.
Yeah.
So he gets up there, hits a hole in one.
I think that's 15. You're talking about 15.
No, this is 16. 16 is the par 3. 17 goes by the lake. That's a par 4. Then 18 goes back towards the clubhouse. It's a par 4.
I don't know. We don't have to argue about it on there.
Dude, I'm right. But check this out. So he hits it, gets a hole in one at the biggest golf tournament. Hey, here comes another train.
Choo choo.
No, let it play. I want to hear it.
It's gone now.
He gets the hole in one, and dude, hole in one. That's once in a lifetime deal.
Yeah.
There's a sign that says hole in one on this is the biggest golf tournament. A hole in one, $5,000 prize for a hole in one.
Really?
He's like, heck yeah. They call the tournament directors. They come down. And then high five, and you got a hole in one? Yeah. Yeah, dude, it says right here, I won $5,000. And you know what the tournament director said? They said, no, sorry, Dale, but the $5,000 wasn't for this hole. It was supposed to be on hole 14, the one right before the lake. That's the hole in one that was paid for. Somebody messed up. Somebody put that sign here, but you can look at the whole tournament disclaimer and see that we paid $5,000 for a hole in one on hole number 14, not on hole number 16.
Damn.
Yeah, so he didn't get the $5,000.
That sucks.
Yeah, but he said that he had a ton of lawyer guys there, you know, playing in the tournament that heard about his hole in one. Said, "Hey, Dale, if you want to fight this dude, we can easily get that." But I think they did give
Suing
him
a charity golf tournament.
Well, they did give him free admission into next year's Cherokee Strip for the hole in one.
That's cool because it's a pretty high dollar tournament.
Yeah, it's like $1,600 or $2,000 to play. So
Yeah. Is that for a team or for a single?
single.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like 4,000, 4 or 5 for a team.
I've always heard that's a hell of a party.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's always trying to get me to volunteer, and I'm always like,
Yeah.
But it's just, I got too much going on to usually volunteer. But everybody's like, it's so fun. But
Yeah,
anyways,
you never have too much to give back to your community.
I give back a lot to my community. That's what I'm saying.
You said volunteer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I give back to my community in a lot of other ways. I don't have to give back to every single event and charity in town.
Dude, if I were to ever give back.
If I could, I would, but I can't.
If I were to ever give back, which I have, but if I were to ever give back, I'd probably want to give back at that type of an event with all you can drink, all you can eat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my mom and Victoria always go and they'll like bartend and stuff. They always have big parties at night. And I'm sure it's fun. It's just not my scene. And it's not really, usually I don't want to be up late because I got to be at work the next day because it's always during the week. So
it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, something like that.
You're sounding like a square, man.
I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I've always got stuff going on that week.
All right,
guys. We've been rambling about golf for a while now. Let's wrap this thing up. Casey, you got any final words, thoughts?
Nope. Keep it in between the lines.
Go US, I guess. All right, guys. Remember, you're only as good as the amount of effort you put in. So get out there today. Do something hard.
By God.